Hello everyone and welcome to the Mancini the Amazing channel. I am your host here today to warn you about the fact that your draft may be subject to flooding. The indicators show depth, and I am not here alone in this wretched land. As you can see, many Pokemon of an aquatic variant come before me, but also of an aquatic variant is LS. Please say hello to the people.
Hello, it's me, LS. I enjoy Pokemon and clicking buttons.
Alright. And beyond that, we also have esteemed friend of the channel from the Keith Thudgo YouTube channel. Keith, please say hello.
Hello, my name's Keith. I'm your actual host here, and that's why I did all that intro. Yeah.
Alright. Well, the three of us, as some have suggested, may or may not come from the great land of Terra Australis. Now, in this wild and wonderful land that is only a little bit smaller than the mainland United States, it is summer. Summer in the east coast of Australia, upon which all three of us reside, means two things. It means pretty warm weather. Sometimes you have a cooler day. It's, I think I had a day that only hit 30 recently. That was pretty good. For Americans, let me just quickly, I think that's probably like 5 million. So 30 degrees is 86 in Fahrenheit. I believe LS recently had it hitting over 110 Fahrenheit. I think
yes.
We've had it coming just below 110. I'm not sure about Keith. I think it's been a little bit warmer for Keith than it's been down here, but not like significantly.
I don't know what a Fahrenheit is, and I refuse to.
I was manually converting it. But yeah. So the other thing that comes with that is, as you guys know, hot air rises, and then as a result, it pushes down the cooler air, and that cooler air is often full of water. So that means that this is monsoon season here in Australia. Now, that we figured is something which really is an experience that unites all of us. Now, I personally, at this point of the year, have not yet experienced serious flooding. There was some minor flooding earlier in December, but now we're coming into February, which in the region of Australia where I am is much more flooding season. However, there are some people who are currently experiencing a flooding season. Now, Keith, would you like to talk about your recent experience with flooding?
It's been raining for about 3 days. And I've been so into the idea of flooding that I have decided to flood my home. My home has decided to flood as a big celebration for this entire thing. It was great. I woke up at, 7, got out of bed. Oh, there's a lot of water on my ground. Fun. So it's just a big day of celebrations for everyone here in the Keith household, Big day of celebrations.
For sure. You really don't necessarily know when the flood is going to be hitting you, outside of the fact that it follows some rain. And something that I think is a bit of an Australian pastime, still somewhat today, though admittedly a bit more so previously when it was still like the foremost way that people interact with Pokemon. But you do still occasionally see people getting injured by trying to go into flooded areas to get to Pokestops, which is what the Pokestop there on the cover is an allusion to. Now, if we're talking about real flooding and getting to somewhere that probably has Pokestops solely for the purpose of experiencing that flood and getting those couple spins going on, Ellis, why don't you talk about your recent experience with flooding?
So, it's bloody hot, so I decided to go away with my wife to the beach. And do you know what the ideal conditions for the beach are?
45 degrees.
It's 45 degrees, yes, like it was yesterday at work. That would have been perfect for the beach. No, instead, when we drive down the coast to get to the beach, we get there and it is a flash flood, basically. So it's 100-kilometer-hour plus winds coming straight off the ocean, pelting my little canvas swag for you uncultured Americans. Like, that's a tent, basically. But that's thick a tent. And yeah, pouring rain. Just absolutely pouring rain, flash flooding. I got stuck in my parents' caravan that was there because, we couldn't do anything, couldn't go swimming. But thankfully on the last day, it kind of, got a little bit tolerable. It was still freezing cold, but we went for a swim at least. But, flash flooding at the beach is not the preferred weather.
No, so yeah, you were stuck in a caravan, and you probably couldn't have gone for like a cheeky run out to 7-Eleven or anything.
No,
and this
but
is
instead,
Okay.
Or even a serious run.
I was stuck in the draft planning, mate. Let me tell you.
Exactly. And what we figured as part of that true Aussie experience was that we would all experience a draft which was subject to flash flooding. So what happened is, once for every round, we rolled a wheel. This wheel is currently on screen now, which said kangaroo, emu, or koala. So each of these referred to each of the three of us coaches in the draft. And whoever got rolled that round got flooded. So emu was Keith. And if you were getting flooded that round, that meant you had to draft a water type. And also you weren't allowed to draft a water type in any of the other ones, because we're currently in the drought flood cycle, where we experience droughts, and the droughts are followed by extreme flooding. And it's really a beautiful experience. So that meant if you really wanted a high tier water type, you could only pick that. As we will have seen, part of the reason that we went with this is we did want to anonymize who it was who was going to be experiencing the flooding. But yeah, if you didn't roll, if this particular draft didn't have rolled the fact that it was going to get flooded until really late in the round, possibly not even once, right? You expect on average between the three drafts, two of them would have 3 floods and one of them would have 4 floods. But it's possible that one literally got 11. Pretty unlikely. But one got 5, one got 6. Entirely possible that one got none, right? So that was sort of the genuine Australian experience.
I wish I got none.
I don't.
I wish I got some water types before all the water types were gone.
No, okay, you guys missed the point.
I got all the.
I'm going to
water
briefly
types,
pause
actually.
this recording, and we remain continuing. So yes,
It's been about 3 hours, man.
Yep, definitely. They totally can't see. Actually, no. I think this time they can't actually see the time on screen.
Oh.
Normally they can if I'm doing my live recording. So yes, it was a problem. All of us had heavy experiences with flooding. So what we really went into here is, we wanted to really explore, the extremes of weather that you have, and. I was reminded of a famous quote that I totally didn't Google shortly before recording this video. In the course of the dialectical process, a shift of perspective occurs which makes the wound itself appear as its opposite. The wound itself is its own healing when seen from another standpoint. From the world's most famous Slovene there. It says Slovenian, but I'm pretty sure it's Slovene. Or maybe Slovene is for the ethnic group and Slovenian is for citizen of the country.
That's where Luka Doncic is from, Slovenia.
The second most famous Slovene, of course. So, let's experience the first part of the dialectic, the thesis. So this is snow, we figured. Ice has a number of weaknesses, of which several of them are resisted by water. Perhaps it would be interesting to experience snowy weather, not super common to Australia, but see how that was... how that interacted with having presumably a large glut of water types. So I decided to draft Abomasnow. I was quite early in the first round, I believe. So I went and I picked up Abomasnow with Snow Warning, which is one of the 2 snow setters. Snowiver is also legal, but Alolan Ninetales was... I didn't even explain the draft format. A bunch of random Pokemon are banned, more or less. Mostly the strong ones.
I believe it's last season, the stuff that was drafted and used last season.
Yeah, it's not necessarily worth explaining in detail at
It's
this
weird.
point. But yes, so just a bunch of stuff is banned based on what was used previously. So I drafted Abomasnow, which I don't believe was picked up last season, and Abomasnow is here. It has the ability to set snow, which is a field condition that boosts the power of ice types, so that does mean you want to draft 2 other ice types. But Abomasnow itself...
let me tell you...
Yeah.
On the topic of other ice types...
Yeah.
I, with my first round pick, drafted Big Daddy Beartic.
It's your second pick.
I was my first round pick.
No, because your draft.
No, I lied. No, I'm lying. Sorry. With my second round pick, I drafted Beartic because I think that Beartic is really cool and it has the funny snow ability that pairs well with the other funny snow ability.
What is the snow ability called?
Slush Rush.
Cloak.
Yeah. Snow warning.
Snow cloak.
Snow cloak. Snow cloak. Snow
Yep.
cloak. Snow cloak. And Beartic, just like flash flooding, can sometimes run rain speed move go quick. Woo.
Rain dance. Yep. Swift.
No, he doesn't swift swim.
Yep.
And that's
So
why I
tough.
drafted Tentacruel, because it's a fast rain dancer, but also it resists fighting types, which both the Abomasnow and the Beartic that I previously drafted are weak to. So it helps with that, and 100 speed is actually pretty fast in this format. It's just like Gen 1, guys!
Just like
Fast!
Gen 1, guys.
And it's just a cool Pokemon. And like, what do you have for a well-played Scarf Tenta? That's
Look,
the real
it's the
question
return
here.
of Scarf Tenta. And,
It will
so
never go away.
something that I really appreciated was being able to get Flygon on this team, right? Because I really appreciate having a Pokemon on a team. It was nice having a pretty ice focus on this team, so it meant when I was picking out Flygon, it was okay even to wind up with a team which may or may not have multiple ground immunities that are all weak to ice, right? Because I know that I'm already going to be unnaturally good into ice by having a Beartic, having the excess of waters that come from the challenge. But Flygon really was here to pick up a really solid rock resist as well as an extra fire resist alongside the waters to really shore up the experiences that Abomasnow and Beartic have, because obviously rock and fire are already there, and obviously with the Tentacruel, we had that resist to fire, which is nice. We had that steel resist and we have that fighting resist, but this allowed, it has quite a good bit of defensive crossover with Tentacruel, because Tentacruel resists the fairy that Flygon is weak to, but also Flygon is immune to ground, which is one of Tentacruel's significant weaknesses. So really, I was thinking that it would be interesting as well to maybe have it as an option to click Earthquake next to Abomasnow, because Abomasnow resists it quite well, and also has obviously that defense boost from Snow. But it also just has a pretty decent spread of options that you can run to break the Pokemon that might try and check a Beartic. You can have the Beartic out on the field after Abomasnow has gone down or been switched out, and then the Beartic and Flygon can really double up together. Use Flygon's natural, in this format, quite fast base 100 speed to pair with that boosted Beartic in Snow to really whittle down the opponents and sometimes push games to sets to game 3 that maybe shouldn't be going to game 3.
And now, speaking of clicking Earthquake, did you know I got the water type here? It's Quagsire. Who can get this? You can have a Quagsire and a Flygon, and they can both click Earthquake next to each other for the when the monsoons happen. That the ground's shaking, there's water flying everywhere, and we're just earthquaking and having a good time. And as well, the snow types already getting a good defensive boost is through the snow. I thought Quagsire. He doesn't care about setup, neither do my other ice types. That's kind of a great little synergy right there.
The best thing about Quagsire is that I can run it with an air balloon next to the Flygon.
Yep.
So they're both immune to their own earthquakes. That's pretty fucking broken.
Yeah. I mean, something that is really interesting about the Quagsire as well is, of course, that it, if you've ever been to Australia, right? If you've ever been down by the Billabong, you know what the Billabongs are famous for, right? Muddy water. Muddy water.
Swimwear.
Billabong trees.
That's
Ice cream brand.
Sunscreen. Yeah.
It's sunscreen, not ice cream. I'm very concerned that you don't know the difference.
They both taste as good.
Yum
Yeah.
yum in my
So-
tum.
Yes, so we explored Snow, which is a weather that theoretically has some synergistic advantages with weather. That's the thesis. This is sort of the general explanation. What team can benefit from having a patchwork of strong water types. Unfortunately, with this one, we did wind up having I did wind up having to draft water types quite late towards the end of the round, which is unfortunate. And that meant that maybe we didn't have the most premium options, but there were still really solid options, like we mentioned, with the Tentacruel and the Quagsire. And I think we also picked up
Veluza. To have
Veluza.
I will be having Filet Fish, my favorite McDonald's burger.
Yeah, I drafted
That's
it to
why-
click Final
that's
Gambit,
why I love it.
but
Yeah.
so
Well, I drafted it for Filet Fish.
then
I
after Thesis
drafted
comes, sorry,
it 'cause it's cute. I drafted it because
that's
it's cute.
so true. After Thesis comes Antithesis, right? So when each of us individually was separately at the same time thinking, what is a team that perhaps doesn't have the most prima facie obvious synergy with the large bunch of water types, but has maybe a less direct synergy in the sense that fire type, water type, grass type are quite a synergistic combination. But unfortunately, in the Sun, the power of water type moves is halved. So if you have a team which is quite heavily water oriented, and this team wound up actually being the most water oriented with 4 different water types getting rolled. Obviously, not amazing with Sun, but still an option, right? They do actually wind up with some decent synergy, right? You really do miss out on the flying resists that you may otherwise be able to get with the grasses, and you don't really have like a great way to cover for that. And you do really rely on secondary typings to cover for the rock weakness as well, which is definitely a bit of a concern. But the waters are supported quite well by the grasses that synergize quite effectively with Sun. So I believe, Keith, you were going to talk about one of the Pokemon that you drafted as you were going through this.
So one of the Pokemon that I drafted was I'm gonna say it was Victory Bell, the greatest Pokemon of all time.
Yeah.
I think Victory Bell is just 10 out of 10. You know, look at him. Look at him. Are you looking?
Yes.
Okay.
When I
imagine.
Well, I thought about the Hawk Tua Mimi.
I can
Well,
confirm.
imagine that thing swallowing you up, and that's why I drafted it. And also, you know, it's got strength sap, and it's fast, and it's strong, and it's got growth in the sun, which is pretty cool. Because what's better than fun in the sun in Australia? You know, especially if you put on a lot of sunscreen. Yeah, well, you know, put on a lot of sunscreen, like a lot of sunscreen.
Very much in that, in that line of thinking, right? So what I decided to do in round 2, when this team rolled its first water type, was I decided to draft Swampert. Now, there were a few other waters I was looking at that wound up going first, but Swampert actually is pretty good in your slip, slop, slap sort of thing, For those of you not in the know, slip, slop, slap was, I don't think it is currently running, but was a PSA thing for
the greatest ad of all time,
being sun safe. So you're supposed to slip on a rash.
Slip on some sunscreen, slap on.
You slap on some sunscreen and slap on a hat. I don't remember what slip is.
That's such a good advertisement that you guys remember what it means.
I don't remember what the slip is.
Slip on a shirt. I think it's slip on a shirt.
Yeah, okay, slip on. Yeah, so slip on a shirt. So that's like your rashi, right? So you slip on a shirt, slap on some sunscreen, and slap on a hat. Now, some may question why you think, but yes, so Swampert does all of that, right? It's got flip turn to slop on that sunscreen. It's got your big liquidations and your earthquake, and luckily, it does have access to that ground stab that is not mitigated by sun. It does unfortunately give your opponents 1-turn solar beam stated, but it does.
You know they added 2 extra words to slip, slop, slap. By the way.
Yeah, it's definitely something.
Seek and slide. Seek and slide.
And then sexy, because I'm bringing sexy back.
Okay, and so why don't you explain which of these Pokemon was you bringing sexy back?
Me? Look at that Barrascuda. When I was thinking of bringing sexy back, I look at the handsome little grin, and I said, do you know what? Now that I have this Sun team with the fastest rain setter in the format, being Chlorophyll, Rain Dance, Victory Bell, I'm gonna get the best the best Swift Swim abuser in the format. Now that I have the fastest rain setter, and look at that handsome little fella Barrascuda came popping up, and I grabbed him, and now he's gonna go and he's gonna click Choice Band Liquidation and kill some people.
When the flip is turned. Indeed.
I reckon he'd look best in a hat. I reckon if you put a top hat on him, that'd really make him sexy.
Top hats and sexiness. So? You've heard it here today.
Yeah.
Speaking of top hats and sexy, do you know what I decided to pick next? Executor, because he can wear 3 top hats. But also, Sleep Powder is a very funny move. And with my Sun team, I thought, if I can make, my opponent have to wear the safety goggles item on one of their threats, that's pretty good value. But also, he's got that funny Trick Room button he can click. And do you know what goes hard in Trick Room? My Swampert. They're gonna pop off together. It's literally a tree and a swamp, like they're best friends. They're
exactly. And the other thing I really thought about with Executor in terms of that Trick Room option when I was picking it is in Sun, it does have guaranteed procs on the ability Harvest. So Harvest is at the end of a turn, if you have consumed a berry previously, you have the ability to find it again. And in Sun, that's a guaranteed chance. So that means that every single turn in Trick Room, when I've got it down to 25%, it can be getting that +1 special attack boost every single turn. And truly,
You know
that's
what I
beautiful.
also thought? Oh, you know what I also thought about Executor? Because when I drafted it, I was also thinking, like, obviously sleep, most broken mechanic ever. And then there's Victory Belt and there's Executor, both in the sun, putting you to sleep before you can do anything. You can only run safety goggles. Something's going to nap. Unless they've got a grass type, but that's cheating. And, Weather Ball, done. Yeah, most broken team ever. I
Yeah.
think I think I think I drafted the best team ever. A
So just very
showcasing.
briefly touch on Pokemon
Yeah.
we haven't. So the first Pokemon that I wound up drafting
Oh.
in this was, of course, the Ninetales, which is perhaps a centerpiece of the scene, which is why it's on the center there. Has the ability Drought, which sets up Sun for 5 turns, which many of the other Pokemon synergize with, and some of them perhaps have some anti-synergies with. But it is simply nice to have a Pokemon with 81 special attack, but a choice specs boost for free on its stab moves.
Well, do you want to know why I drafted Ninetales?
No, it sounds like it's going to be, based on what you were saying earlier, some like Rule 34 nonsense.
No, I was just gonna say because it looks like Naruto.
That's so true, bestie.
Well, the reason I drafted Ninetales is because I think it actually has a really good support move pool for this meta with a great speed set for this meta. Again, 100 speed is very fast, and whilst the power's good, just being able to even get like a fast Hypnosis or just like fast Will-O-Wisp, like I think it's got Encore, all that good stuff. It's got some ways of really disrupting Pokemon. I believe it still has Scorching Sands as well. But I think just 100 speed is going to be really helpful to enable some of the other threats, even if there's a case where we don't run the fun in the sun and we decide to be more defensive.
Yeah, so I definitely think that you drafted a pretty good team there. So now, after we've explored the antithesis, so the team that looks perhaps the most at odds with drafting a rain team, with drafting a collection of inconsistent water types, we now have from the thesis of using synergies where water types serve to shore up the disadvantages of a team's one, and here where they serve to create new opportunities to develop apart from that core experience that you anticipate with the Sun team. We have managed to generate through a synthesis of those two options, one where rather than shoring up or enhancing the existing capabilities of the team, or the alternative one where it serves to provide a differentiation. Instead, in this one, the final team that I drafted, the final team which I drafted, the water types are actually the core of the weather experience, as went for a pretty hardcore rain team here with the main sort of centerpiece that you would expect to be coming to a range of games, not necessarily all of them, but it's a pretty significant part of the strategy, Intrudal, which has the ability Prankster, which, for those of you who know, who have watched my incredible video, what's the deal with, I think it's called What's the Deal with Prankster, and then it's called like What's the Deal with stand-up comedy references in Pokemon Draft videos. Very good video. Very, very well received as well. Strudel here is able to click the move Rain Dance at +1 priority, which, because of the Generation 8 and 9 mechanics where speed interactions update on the same turn, means that the Kingdra and the Ludicolo, as well as potentially any other Pokemon with the ability Swift Swim, have not only the damage of their water type stabs boosted, they actually have their speed doubled on that turn, which means that, as well as several turns after, subject to other weathers happening, which means that they have the ability to attack faster and deal more damage.
I really leaned into this. I doubled down on the water type for this, and the best part of doubling down is getting the Kingdra that I drafted. I think Kingdra is a great Pokemon even outside of Rain, because there is about, I'm going to say, 3.5 steals in the format, and about 1.5 fairies. So being able to click Outrage a lot freer, or Draco Meteor a lot freer, like the normal, is pretty good, requiring a Terra for a lot of teams. I believe that most teams, and I haven't checked and I refuse to check because checking facts is for nerds, I believe that most teams don't have a Steel and a Fairy. I believe most teams probably only have one Dragon Resist, making Kingdra quite good. I believe that it can get away with a lot of stuff. I can get away with Dragon Dance crit sets. I can get away with crit sets. I can get away with just specs, no weather. I can obviously get away with weather. I think it's quite good, and I think it's going to crush everything in sight.
Well, do you want to know the cool thing about rain teams is having
Yes.
multiple rain setters? And I thought when I was drafting this team, Strudel, Prankster is good, but sometimes bringing Strudel sometimes feels a bit sad because it's, forced into its sash role in clicking that. So I got Ludicolo because Fake Out means I can use one of my other faster guys to set Rain Dance because I actually have Raichu as well, even though it's not in the graphic, and that boy clicks a fast Rain Dance. So with my Ludicolo, I click Fake Out turn 1 and Rain Dance, and then all of a sudden I've got a Ludicolo, which, let me tell you, hits pretty hard under the rain, going pretty fast. And I have it, instead of having a Strudel, I have, one of my other fast ones that's there to do more damage. And not only that, Ludicolo is just cool. Like, look at him. He's having a good time.
I can't dispute
Dances. I like his
Ludicolo
dance.
does look very nice.
I like his dance.
He's wearing the top hat, not the other team that I draft, not the other executor that I drafted. This guy's got the top hat.
That's a
Yeah.
lily pad.
And it's a top hat.
It's a lily
I think
pad.
I drafted a lot of great top hats, to be honest.
Such as
A
your
lot
last
of great potential top hats. Oh yeah, but the best top hat is the top hat that covers up Broxish's... What is
Nodule?
that?
It's not
Node? It's nodule? It's
Nodule.
sensory gland? Regardless, I think Broxish is cool because, opponent is going to fake out me to stop my Prankster Rain or, my Raichu Rain, and then I go, haha, Broxish, and suddenly, no fake out. No fake out for anyone. No fake out for you, or you, or you, but fake out for me still, so I can leave it next to Ludicolo and still fake out. And get that uncontested.
And
The
set rain
Dazzler
dance.
is an incredible ability. Yeah, it gets rain dance. It's also just like a strong Pokemon.
It's got Wave Crash. It's got
Yeah, got
Strong
Wave
Drill,
Crash.
Psychic Fangs. I was
It's
pretty
got
proud of
Trick
that.
Room. Because
Yeah,
the
unlike-
team that I drafted totally uses Trick Room.
Yeah, unlike the Veluza I drafted, which is a shame. So, I think now that everyone's had the opportunity to look at our different teams and consider how a range of water types, also known sometimes as water span, can influence different structures of team, specifically focused within broader weather archetypes and the degrees to which one is obliged to commit to that weather. I think it's been pretty well explored through this video. We looked at the team that I drafted, and obviously we looked at the team that I drafted, and I think we also looked at the team that I drafted. And I think what we really came to together is the understanding of the dialectic between sun and snow, and how, in Pokemon, super effective is a binary, but in the real world, what happens when you expose ice to fire? It melts and creates water.
That is true. And I don't want to get too cocky. I think I drafted not just the best team, possible, the best team in draft history. And I'm going to be honest, I think the secret strategy that I had with my drafting was that I drafted mono Pokemon that are going to win VBL Season 15. Sorry, YouTube, but I drafted definitely the best team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really thought that I drafted the best team as well, so I think we're in agreement on that. And LS, do you have any closing remarks?
You know what? I think I drafted some cool guys. I think I drafted some cool dudes.
Yeah, I really like that Ludicolo pick you made.
Yeah.
Thank you
I
guys.
was a big fan of that Beartic guy there.
I think
Yeah.
the
I
Flygon
really like the
pick
bad
was
pick I drafted
inspired.
All I'm saying is, if we do look in the draft, we'll see that I did, in fact, draft the Beartic. Thank you guys for everything, and I hope you viewers in the audience appreciated that I
drafted the
listened to your
Beartic.
feedback and kept this video under 30 minutes. Goodbye.